I can't believe I'm reviewing this, but it had to be done. Paul American Season 1. This is a reality TV series following the Paul brothers. Man, if you've been in the internet for a little bit of time, you might know about them, especially if you're like 30 and below. Probably heard of the Paul brothers. They are brothers who grew up doing Vine. They became pretty popular on Vine. Then once that ended, they transitioned over to YouTube and their channels just exploded, each of them doing their own thing, right? But it was very similar in tone, very similar in delivery. As time went by, each of them faced their own controversies. You could look that stuff up. I mean, it's everywhere. And I think some of the biggest ones coming from Logan. But either one of them have been on the bad side of the press. Despite the controversies, each of their YouTube channels have grown to, I believe, over 20 million, which is crazy. They own these crazy, huge, successful businesses, collaborating with other YouTubers such as Mr. Beast, KSI. A lot of people just have so many opinions about them. A lot of people support them, a lot of people don't. So out of nowhere, it's just a huge surprise to me that a show about them and their family comes out in HBO. And the way it was pitched to us, I'm gonna pitch it back to you. One of the brothers, Jake Paul, he said it himself. This is like following the Kim Kardashians if they're like pro boxers. And man, first glance, like face first, this is just a terrible idea, a waste of time to watch. You know, who's gonna watch this, right? On IMDb, I think currently the show runs 2 point something stars. And this was actually before even the last episode came out. In my opinion, people were rating something without having fully watched it just because of the names behind it, right? And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm not gonna get into the controversies. I'm gonna separate these 8 episodes from everything else, from the background that is all of the attention that they get, the good and the bad, outside the reality TV show series. I just want to dissect this work individually, you know, for what it is. I feel like if I don't do that, it goes against what I believe when judging or looking at art for the most part. And also, there's just so many people that went into creating this outside of 2. Jake Paul and Logan Paul. Of course, they're the face of it, but there's just so many people that, you know, that worked on this. They had salary paid because of this. They had a job. So I'm just going to judge this first season for what it is. So right off the bat, I'm going to tell you this. The way that Jake pitched it, where he says it's Kardashians, but with boxers, I personally feel is a bit of an understatement. I think you're underselling the show a little bit. What we do throughout the first season, this is a reality show. Their reality is cameras everywhere, biggest stadiums in the world. Just take a little pause. Subscribe. Thank you. Hit that bell. Ring-a-ding-ding-ding-ding. Millions of followers. I mean, these guys are used to having a camera on their face 24/7. Their reality is already as exciting, entertaining as it is from the outside. They get to visit the whole world, right? So, you know, a lot of these reality TV series would create false crap, false drama, just for the sake of it, just to keep your eyes peeled. I don't feel like these guys need to do that because they just always have something coming up. They always have in their life something actually happening. This season managed to have a structure, introducing us to the Pauls, and not just Jake and Logan, like the whole family. And all of this is leading up to, on Logan's side, his baby being born. And on Jake's side is his fight with Mike Tyson. And between these two endpoints, yes, there's drama, there's some entertainment. There are some moments where you can't believe how narcissistic these guys can be, but also, and I think surprisingly, a good exploration as to how they got here psychologically. And that was my favorite part of the whole season. What's more interesting to me in actual storytelling, characters like these that are eccentric, that know who they are and are pretty honest about it. Like I said, they are pretty aware. They'll talk about it out loud. They'll say it throughout the series. I think Logan made a comment where he said, without the money, they're just a bunch of pricks. And to an extent, you see it. You know, you see the behavior that fuels the parts and flaws of these people that sometimes justify all the negative feedback that they receive. But then what this show does is it throws a wrench into everything by exploring and by really focusing on not just them two, but the whole family, the woman in their life and their parents, which I thought was nice. The inclusion of the parents in the series was a surprise, man. I know a lot of people will sign off on this show and will think it's brain rot or whatever. I guess I understand why they say that, but some episodes do get really deep. Episode 6 specifically explores their childhood, their background, you know, psychologically giving a reason why they are how they are. Just take a little pause. Subscribe. And it has a lot of connection to do with their father and their mother and their background. And that's really interesting to me. Whoever had the idea from the documentary production team to include that, I think was really smart, because you bet behind the camera, they're aware of who they are recording, who they're showing on HBO Max, right? And honestly, it was just really smart idea to explore their background, to give a reason as to why they are the way they are, how some of their current behaviors and issues are explained, and each of their brother deals with it their own way. The father, Greg Paul, is very interesting, a very polarizing figure out of all of them. But what the series does, man, it just reminds you, like, he's a dad too. And like I said, all the bad stuff, all the dirt, it's there. Like, you could look it up. It's on YouTube. You'll find it. But this season did have a conscious mind when it came to storytelling. They knew what they were doing. And it eventually all climaxes to this last episode where, yeah, like Logan's he's a dad now, which is crazy. And that change in character, you do see it. And some of the best documentaries do tell a story. It's not just there with the camera planted so we can observe. I think that's what differentiates the best from the worst, right? You think about Free Solo, you think like, oh yeah, it's a guy creating this, like, maybe the most impressive athletic feat ever, which is true, but it's also an exploration of Alex Honnold's character. You know, this guy who's very distant emotionally from any other human being until he connects to this woman who eventually becomes his wife. And you see that breaking down of his shell little by little as that story progresses, right? At the end of Climbing, El Capitan, who does Alex calls? You know, he calls his then girlfriend, soon to be wife. Those are the nuances that it's rare for someone to keep an eye on throughout the documentary. But they did in this one, not hiding flaws, exploring their past, even some surprisingly emotional moments. I'm not even kidding, like for me, that's why I said I thought Greg Paul was a more interesting one out of everyone in this series. He says something profound that hit me on a deeper level in the last episode concerning one of his sons, and at that point in the documentary, I thought it was just very good, emotionally stimulating for sure. I was surprised by how taken aback I was by some of these moments that you have with these people. Overall, this is a reality TV series. You're gonna see some drama if you ever check it out. If you say, I'm never gonna check that out, that's understandable. But this did surprise me. The Paul brothers at times seem very unrelatable, out of reach, and distant from being human. But if this show continues the strongest aspect of itself, which is the family element, keeping the focus on that and not formulating anything within that, because it itself is already interesting, and deep down, I hope for the best for them, especially after watching this. And yeah, man, I was shocked by it. I'm currently editing the video, and I realized I didn't put a score for it when I was recording it, but I'm giving this one a flat C+. Yeah, man, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.